So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
All right, welcome to Kent with Bent 19, Requiem for a Hovind with me, the Dapper Dinosaur, and Bent Hovind. Bent, why don't you show everyone the wonderful shirt you're wearing?
Oh, I'm wearing this wonderful shirt with a dinosaur.
That dinosaur
It's got a top hat.
Looks pretty dapper.
A monocly, however you say it, monocle.
I think it's monocle.
Monocle and a red tie, because red's a good tie color.
Yes. All right, well, in case anyone doesn't know, that very t-shirt in multiple colors, is available from the Teespring store down in the description. So check that out. And you wore it around town today. You had some errands to run, huh?
I did have errands to run, and I had one person comment, write it down, and say they'd try to make it to this stream. And another person said she loved dinosaurs. She wanted to take a picture. And I was like, well, come on by the stream if you can. And she's like, well, I work till 2 in the morning, so she won't be here. But she might watch later. Who knows?
There you go. So, it's a good way to start conversations if you want to help share the channel around. It just looks cool. There are also other options. We have tank tops, hoodies, canvas bags, mugs. Yeah, there you go, mugs. So yeah, check it out. Toss a few coins my way if you want to, and if you don't want to, then don't. If you can't afford it, then don't.
I will say, though, this tea tastes even better in this mug than it would if I didn't have any mug at all.
Yeah, my mugs use special taste good technology that involves keeping the liquid on the inside until you're ready for it to be on the outside. So,
without this mug, I just have to hold it. It wouldn't be good.
No, yeah, the mug is definitely a big benefit. So anyway, we are back with Kent Hovind's Seminar 4 that he is doing, I guess. And yeah, there you go. Let's start in on this. Oh, maybe I haven't. Hello?
Yes,
there we go.
Those gills are an
I hit the
adaptation to living in water. Oh, well, how did they live before they adapted the gills? Well, you see, Mr. Hovind.
Oh, we forgot to go over the drinking rules.
Drinking rules, yeah.
All right, so for those of you who are new, we have some drinking rules which you do not have to follow. In fact, I highly encourage you not to for your health. However, they are, we drink whenever Kent gets something right. Now, it can't just be Kent quoting someone else who got something right. Kent has to say it with his own words. So, there is that. If he just reads out a passage of a book and it's correct, that's not good enough. Next is, we drink when it is just way too stupid. So, I'll announce it when I feel like it just got too stupid for me. But, whenever it gets too stupid for you, you feel free. And the last but not least is just to inject a slight bit of randomness. And this is usually mostly random. But we drink whenever Godzilla roars, and there you go. That is the Godzilla Roar drink cue. Delicious. So, like I said, I highly recommend that you not follow along with Kent with Bent drinking rules, and if you do, I accept no legal liability for anything that happens to you, whether it be death, dismemberment, arrest, or, I don't know, hate calling Kent Hovind in the middle of the night.
For millions of years, they all died. None of them lived. Until they adapted the gills. Oh.
What? I feel like I missed out on that first part, but I don't care.
Design feature. See, they avoid using the word designed.
Well, he said, how did they adapt to gills? Because
Yeah.
they would have just drowned if they hadn't, or something like that.
If you had gills but you weren't adapted to them?
No, like if you didn't have gill, like, I guess you could go back a few seconds if you wanted.
No, we go only forward.
Let's go to the right.
Okay.
On the timeline.
Yes.
Who's the designer?
Oh, drink.
Adaptations for living on land. Legs. Oh yes, boys and girls. Legs support the body's weight as well as allow movement from place to place.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. It doesn't prove they adapted by themselves, though.
But no one's saying that this is proof that they adapted. They're just listing the adaptations that you would need. Do you disagree with them? Like, do you not think these would be the adaptations required?
I don't understand heart. Like, you don't need a heart if you're swimming around in the water.
I think they're going to the whole fact that you need like at least a 3-chambered heart, like a frog or a salamander or a lizard.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, come on, spacebar, do the spacebar thing.
Lungs.
There we go.
Oh boy, the delicate
My
structure
spacebar
of a
sucks,
fish's
apparently.
gills depends on water for support. On land, lungs carry out gas exchange.
Uh-oh.
That's true. That's not proof one changed to the other, though. They just make this mental, imaginary connection.
I'm trying to turn up
in the
all
kids'
the
minds.
things.
I've got a Casio databank stopwatch, or watch, okay? Holds 300 phone numbers. It's a calculator, stopwatch,
Sorry
alarm
about the
clock, and a
clipping.
countdown timer. It does not tell time. I have to look at it, but it's a pretty amazing machine. $70 at Walmart.
All right, we have a $1.99 super chat from Steven Steen, which basically, by the way, puts me at $58 of the way there to Doom Eternal, which is my next purchase, basically. This channel is run by an alcoholic. Well, that's partially correct. This stream is run by an alcoholic.
I was in Japan a couple years ago, but I did not see the guy who makes the Casio databank watch.
I
never
did.
saw him.
His name
Do I have to
is
see the guy who
Hideki.
made it to believe he exists? Is it logical for me to stand here in Tennessee and say, I believe there's a watch designer in Japan that made this thing? Is that logical?
And we have a $2 super chat from Bent Hovind, no relation. Who's that?
I don't know.
It says this show was co-hosted by an alcoholic. There you go.
What?
Logical? Even if I never see him? Sure. Would it be illogical for me to say, I've never seen him, so I don't believe he exists?
Yes, it would, Kent, because watches are a thing that are known to be designed by people. Which, oh, by the way, in case anyone keeps keeping track, that puts us only, what is it, 50, I can't math, $56 away from a free purchase of a video game. Not that I'm actually asking to get to that number, like, whatever.
That would be totally dumb, wouldn't it? And you don't have
Bob
to see
and
the
Meyer
creator
here.
to believe he exists, okay? Evolutionists argue against design using arguments they designed.
Yep. Oh, that's technically true. That's technically true. We drink for... Kent is right.
Well, I mean, Walt Brown said it, though.
Walt Brown, well...
I don't know who that is.
No,
but
that's true.
I'll drink to it.
Oh well, whatever. Also, by the way, Steven Steen said that's a nice tie, Kent. Actually, I like a lot of Kent's ties, and I'm being completely honest, but that one is not one of my favorites. I prefer the ones where he has like cool scenes with dinosaurs and there's like a sunset and yeah, that's like the real good tie right there, Kent. Like, look, people who've watched me for a while know that when Kent is on point, I'll give it to him. It doesn't happen much, but sometimes his ties are really good. That one, it's a little, it's okay.
About that one.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
want
great
to see
book
his
talking
tie
about
in
the
Seminar
complexity of
5. I'm
living.
really excited.
Oh, does he have a good one in that one?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
just can't wait to get rid of this one.
Things at a micro scale. We sell the book at our website. Michael Behe wrote this on Darwin's black box. He spends a whole chapter describing the hair on a bacteria.
Well, it's bacterium, but yes, he does. I have that book. Actually, do I still have it? Okay, I've read that book and I have owned it. I don't know if I still have a copy.
That hair is so complicated, it's attached to a little tiny motor. The motor is so tiny that 8 million of them would fit in the cross-section of a human hair, but the motor turns 100,000 RPM. Let's see you build a motor like that.
Nah, but the description was broadly accurate, so we drink. Delicious.
Pretty amazing. And as things get
What a
smaller,
dapper cup
the
of
world
tea.
they live in feels more sticky to them. The viscosity of the fluid seems greater. So a bacteria swimming through water is about like a person
Water.
swimming through peanut butter.
Broadly accurate. I'll drink for it.
And that little motor is so powerful and turns so fast, that bacteria can swim about like a person going 60 miles an hour through peanut butter.
Maybe? I don't know.
We got a little model of it in our museum if you want to come down and see how they work. And the textbook says, humans probably evolved from bacteria more than 4 billion years ago. What?
I would not have phrased it like that. Oh, we have a $6.90 super chat from Bob Knob. 69 is the sex number, and that's true. It is the sex number. And that puts me only $50 away.
Oh, man.
Although technically YouTube takes 30%, so really I'm $80 away. I know, right?
That's a ripoff.
Well, you know what though? It's fun to interact. Everyone gets to see the nice little color. I don't begrudge them their 30%. Those jackals.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
They can swim through peanut butter 60 miles an hour. We should sign them up for the Olympics, man. We evolved from them. We're getting worse, not better. It's a lie. Nothing this small and complex could have happened by chance.
Citation needed.
This is a great book that we sell in our bookstore. Just simple illustrations. Could a box evolve? Could an ink pen evolve? Could a paperclip evolve?
All right, I'm going to drink on that one because that is the most stupidest thing I've heard in 4 days. And of course, no, they couldn't evolve because you know what none of them do is reproduce with variable, heritable characteristics.
Right, because they're not alive.
Yeah. Now, I'll grant you that there are some things that aren't alive that you could say do evolve, like various
language.
Well, language is a big one, but there are also things like there are various computer simulations that simulate a genetic code and then reproduction with mutations, and the mutations can carry forward and be selected for and against. So, yeah, but these are things that can't do any of those things, so no.
It just goes through a bunch of simple things and show it just can't happen, okay? Then you talk about the origin of life. Yes, boys and girls, how living things started from non-living matter. This is pure baloney, how they teach this in the books. We're going to cover that after a quick break. Cover a few more lies in the textbooks and then tell you what you can do about it.
That makes me want a bologna sandwich.
To fix the problem, right after the break. In the last 2 sessions, we covered 15 lies.
New tie!
Oh, it's a new tie. I like this tie. It's colorful. Okay, that's fine. I'll drink for the new tie. I think I like this tie.
Found in the typical textbook. I taught high school science for 15 years, and I'm not against science, I'm not against schools, I'm not against teachers, but I'm against lies. Just don't lie to the kids, okay?
What's that, sorry?
He keeps lying. He just said like 4 lies in a row.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's Kent Hovind.
The Bible says in the book of Proverbs, "Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causeth thee to err from the words of knowledge." Don't listen to things that are simply not true, okay?
Oh, all right, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. We have to go now because Kent Hovind told us not to listen to things that aren't true, but that's pretty much everything in here. So, well, it was a good run while it lasted. I'll give this outro.
What if we just ignored what Kent said?
No, outro.
Kept watching anyway.
Wait, can we do that? I mean, I'm already playing the music.
Oh, we'll just play the music. It's good music.
Oh.
Well, interesting question.
Huh. But we can come back and keep doing things even though Kent told us that God told us not to listen to him?
Yeah, good. I think so. I give you permission.
Oh, well, thanks. You trump God anyway, right?
Get the lies out of the books. The Bible says God created all things, and it says heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. Hath not my hand made all these things? God made everything. And the Bible says God formed the entire world. The Bible says God created great whales and every living thing. Now, the textbooks in school are going to teach your kids that every living thing happened by itself. They're not going to teach them God created every living thing, that's for sure. Here's a textbook that says the history of life.
And for another $1.99, Stephen Steen says Marcus Dresden is Kent Hovind's biggest fan. How do you like that, Marcus Dresden?
Life on Earth began about 3.5 billion years ago. How this occurred has been and will continue to be a topic for inquiry. Let me give you the Hovind translation of what they just said. What they just said is, it's okay to inquire how it evolved. It is not okay to inquire if it evolved.
What? No! No, that's not what it says at all.
What's happening on the stream?
What do you mean what's happening on the stream? Is everything
nothing.
okay? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so no, that's not what it says at all. What it says is, hey, we happen to know that about 3.5 billion years ago there was life. And before that, there doesn't seem to have been life. What gives? That's what that says. It doesn't say anything about evolution.
Hey kids, you're allowed to research, how did evolution happen? And if some kid says, well, maybe it didn't happen at all. Oh, shut up, kid, you're out of my class, okay? The only way you can research is, how did it happen? You cannot even ask the question, did it happen? That's not education. That's indoctrination. Okay? I'm sick and tired of paying for that stuff. Now, nobody knows how a mixture of lifeless
He
chemicals
indoctrinates for free.
It's true.
spontaneously organize themselves into the first living cell. Paul Davies said, nobody has a clue how life got started from non-living material by itself. There is not even a good theory how it can happen, but the textbooks are going to teach your kids it just happened, okay? They just tell them, hey, it happened. And you can't even consider the option that maybe God made it. Here's what happened. Back in the 50s, two guys, Miller and Urey, decided to figure out how life evolved. So they took a mixture of chemicals and ran it through these tubes and tried to create life in the laboratory. The experiment's been duplicated many, many times. Always been a failure.
What? It's been a failure? I mean, it set out to see, hey, could we produce these, amino acids in an abiotic situation? And the answer was, well, yes.
And always created more problems for the evolutionist. This textbook says, although he never proved how life originated, he did add evidence to the theory that life could have started by itself. That is a lie. All they did was create problems for the idea that life could have started by itself. This one says, swirling in the waters of the oceans is a bubbling broth of complex chemicals. Progress from a complex chemical soup to a living organism is very slow. Well, it sure is. It don't even happen. That's how slow it is. There are several different articles that say life came from clay. Yep, got some clay together and poof, came alive on the bottom of the ocean. They did not address...
Yeah, it's... no, I'm going to drink for that one. Not only does it not just say that clay spontaneously poofed into life, but that's literally the Bible thing. Oh, how did God make humans? Oh, he took the dust of the earth. What's clay made out of? The dust of the earth. And he made a little human statue, and he went into it, and then it came alive. If that's not the clay poofing into life, I don't know what would be. But anyway, this clay thing, it's not super well in favor right now anymore, just because it doesn't seem like it's super necessary. But the idea is that the fine crystal structure in the clay could have provided a geometric basis for some of the earliest molecules on the way to life to have formed. Like, it could have formed a little substrate.
Okay.
So it wasn't that the clay came alive, it's that the clay provided a template for early biomolecules.
The origin of life in Darwin's book, and it's never been figured out since how life could have started. What he did is he took these four chemicals and put them in these glass tubes, made them circulate around, and tried to create life in the laboratory. This textbook says many important events occurred during...
No, they didn't try to make life in the laboratory. They tried to make amino acids. They succeeded. They specifically prevented life from forming. But hey.
The Archean era, the most important of which was the evolution of life. Progress from complex molecules to the simplest living organism was a very long process. I guess so. If you give it billions of years, somehow it looks more reasonable, This one says the first living cells emerged between 4 billion and 3.8 billion years ago. There is no record of the event.
Yeah.
But you better believe it, and you're going to be tested on it.
I mean, that's because that's when we have evidence of them. They came from somewhere, even if God poofed them into existence. That's the thing that really bugs me is, even if the creation of the first life was an actual literal miracle, this would still be true. This in no way contradicts the idea of a creation by a deity. And it just, yeah.
The first self-replicating systems must have emerged in this organic soup. So great-great-great-great-grandpa was soup. This is one of the lies in the textbooks you kids have to face. Nobody has a clue how life could have gotten started by non-living chemicals. Even Haeckel confessed, he's the guy we talked about in the last session, that made up the idea that the embryo has gill slits, so they could justify abortion.
Oh my god, that was so stupid from last time. I have to drink for it. In case any of you weren't here for last time, Kent Hovind went on this whole long spiel that I pretty much just entirely skipped about the only reason that to tell people that pharyngeal arches exist, despite their literal actual existence in embryos, was to justify killing the babies via abortion, even though I've literally never heard anyone in the history of abortion arguments, most of which are bad, by the way, pro and con, ever use that one. Plus, we have $2 from Vandalia1998. Dust is tiny rock, which is what he thinks we think. Which I think is tying into the whole thing where he's like, wait, scientists think that, you know, creatures are made out of rock or clay or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, but that's what you actually think. So thank you very much for your super chat, Vandalia1998. It is very much appreciated.
Haeckel said, he claimed that spontaneous generation must be true, not because it had been proven in the laboratory, but because otherwise it would be necessary to believe in a creator. Well, Ernst, I'm sorry, bud, that's just the way it goes. Okay.
I do want to address one quick thing. Unidentified Leviathan says, facts don't care about your feelings, abortion is wrong. This is not a channel where I'm going to discuss my feelings on abortion. It's moral, it's morality, its implications. I'll discuss embryology, but not the... I'll also maybe discuss things like, you know, medical complications that can occur, or things like that. But I am not here to discuss the morality of it, because I don't even discuss that in my personal life for the most part, because, well, everybody sucks at it, including me. So I don't bother.
There's a creator, whether you like it or not, okay? So have they really produced life in the laboratory? Oh, they haven't even come close. Here's what they did. They took 4 gases. They took methane, ammonia, water vapor, and hydrogen, ran them through these tubes, ran it through a spark chamber supposed to simulate lightning. And say, we're going to put them together and make life in the laboratory.
Well, except for the life in the laboratory part, that was actually a pretty accurate description. So you know what? I'll drink to it.
Drink time.
At the bottom of the flask, they got this red goo, and they kept draining the goo off, because if it went through the spark again, it would destroy it. So they had to make the goo and then save it from the next spark, okay? They said in the textbook here it was rich in amino acids, this red goo was. Well, that's simply a lie, okay? They didn't come...
No, it's not a lie, but let's see what happens. Let's see where he goes with it.
I'm close to making life. The problem is they had a reducing atmosphere. In other words, he excluded oxygen. You can look at his 4 gases. There's no oxygen there. He knew if he had oxygen in there, it would oxidize whatever chemicals tried to combine. You know, you cut a banana open and lay it on the table, it turns brown, it oxidizes. You don't paint your car, and it oxidizes.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry to do this, but I feel like I missed something important here, because nothing about this is making sense, even from a chem perspective.
He knew if he had oxygen in there, it would oxidize whatever chemicals tried to combine. You know, you cut a banana open and lay it on the table, it turns brown, it oxidizes. You don't paint your car, and it oxidizes.
Yeah, it's not like we can't actually test things like iron-bearing rocks from around the time frame where the first evidence of life comes into being to check to see whether or not there was free atmospheric oxygen. Because maybe you know this, Bent. What happens to iron if there's free O2 gas in the atmosphere and you just leave some iron out?
It oxidizes.
And then what does it form?
Rust.
So if you saw a rock that had cooled out of lava and it was just full of regular old iron and no rust, it probably wasn't exposed to any atmospheric
oxygen.
And if all of the rocks that we find from the time period when we're getting the first living organisms don't have any rust, but they're full of iron,
there wasn't any oxygen.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a reasonable conclusion based on the evidence.
Rusts. Well, living cells will oxidize quickly in the presence of oxygen. So he didn't put any oxygen in there. That creates a serious problem, because if you have oxygen, you cannot get life to come from non-living chemicals.
He may be right about that, but it's not a problem because there's really good reason to think that the early Earth didn't have free oxygen.
The problem is ozone is made from oxygen.
Okay.
And ozone blocks UV light.
Yeah.
And UV light destroys ammonia. And ammonia is one of the 4 gases he's got.
Okay, but it doesn't do any of those things under an even small amount of water. Water is also really good at blocking UV light. So, there you go. Problem solved.
So you cannot get life to evolve with oxygen, and you cannot get life to evolve without oxygen. because if you don't have oxygen, you don't have ozone, and now your ammonia gets destroyed. It's just not going to work either way. And the Earth has always had oxygen, even more than today. This guy said, what evidence is there for a primitive methane, ammonia, or atmosphere on Earth? The answer is there is no evidence.
He circled his own really old date.
Oh my goodness, yeah, 1966. Oh, yeah, I'll drink to that.
He circled his own really old date.
So this talk was, I believe, given in, wasn't it like the mid 2000s, like 2004?
2004, I think.
Yeah. So when this was given, this was already basically a 4-decade-old reference. Yeah, I'm sure nothing about the early atmosphere had been published between 1966 and whatever 2005 or whatever this was. Aw, Kent. At least it's better than your 1880 whatever polystrate fossils.
For it, but much against it. We find in general no evidence in the sedimentary distribution of carbon, sulfur, uranium, etc., that an oxygen-free atmosphere ever existed on the Earth. If somebody tells you the early Earth had a reducing atmosphere, you tell them Kent Hovind said they're confused or they're deliberately lying.
Reducing and oxygen deplete, or, no oxygen aren't the same thing. Like, there are ways to be not reducing and also not have a lot of oxygen.
Because it's not true. The Earth has always had oxygen. This article said, it's suggested from the earliest dated rocks at 3.7 billion years ago, Earth had an oxygenic atmosphere. They've always known the Earth had oxygen, even more than we...
Hey, you've managed to cherry pick a citation that agreed with you. Unfortunately, the scientific consensus has never really gone with that because, well, the vast majority of the evidence indicates a largely anoxic environment. But hey, whatever.
We have today.
Earth's early atmosphere and oceans were devoid of free oxygen, even though tiny cyanobacteria were producing the gas as a byproduct of photosynthesis.
Well, there you go.
It took 3 words in Google. That's it. That's all it took to find evidence.
Yeah. Did you check Google Scholar?
No, I didn't even do that.
I mean, I would check Google Scholar too. It's pretty cool. Although, I don't know that we have time to read an entire paper.
I was just trying to type as few words as possible and to get some kind of evidence.
Nice. Yeah, James Downer says, Kent just lied again. You don't say, James. Oh, it's constant from him.
Seminar part 2, how the early Earth probably had even more oxygen. Made them live longer. This textbook says, there was no oxygen on the Earth, which is a lie. And then it says the rocks absorbed it.
Yeah, that's why there was no oxygen, because the minute... Okay, look, here's the thing, right? When someone says, oh, there was no oxygen, what they mean was that if you were to go and measure it, unless you were using an absurdly sensitive test, you would have essentially come up with nothing, or something that's indistinguishable from nothing. 0 would have been within your margin of error for pretty much any sample. That doesn't mean that literally the entire atmosphere was completely devoid of O2. Like Bent had just said, there were cyanobacteria making small amounts of oxygen. The reason it wasn't in the atmosphere is because oxygen, being highly reactive, would react with just about anything almost immediately. Oh! Drink for Godzilla. So, yeah. The reason there was no oxygen is because the rocks absorbed it as soon as it came out. It would be sort of like... Alright, you ever see the famous scene from I Love Lucy where they get overwhelmed at the candy factory and they start eating the candy as fast as they can? Yeah. Okay, imagine if there were a whole bunch of them and they were all just eating the candy as quickly as they could so that no candy ever actually got to the other side. Mm-hmm. Now, you could say, okay, on net, how much candy is the factory producing?
None.
Is there ever any candy, though?
Wait, yes.
Yeah, but why isn't there candy?
Because they keep eating it.
Oh.
Because they're like rocks absorbing oxygen.
Hey, look at that. There you go.
Hello? How can they absorb it if it wasn't there? Well, think about it. Second problem,
I did think about it, Kent.
They filtered out the...
I thought about it for like 3 seconds and managed to tie it into pop culture, so good job.
Product. That is not realistic for nature, okay? They saved the goo from getting sparked the second time because it would have destroyed it.
Why is that unrealistic? Okay, so lightning hits the ocean. That's the thing they're simulating, right? Or a little tide pool, right? Why does it have to hit the same place again the next time it strikes? Why couldn't it just sit there and accumulate? I mean, there weren't lots of little critters going around to eat the amino acids. I really don't get why that's an inaccurate thing. Like, I think I've heard Logic say it. You've seen the ocean, Kent. You know what it looks like. It's not a kiddie pool surrounded by Tesla coils.
Actually made in this experiment was 85% tar, 13% carboxylic acid. Now both of those...
Carboxylic acid isn't a thing. There are carboxylic acids. It's a class of chemicals. Also, neither tar nor carboxylic acids are in and of themselves toxic to life. So, I'll drink for that, because that's just stupid. Especially when you're so completely unspecific about what the tar is. Like, other than it has carbon in it, I don't know what the heck that means.
Are poisonous to life. If you make a mixture that's 98% poisonous to the other 2%, I don't think it's logical to say you've succeeded in creating anything that's going to help make life, okay? The problem...
well, it wasn't poisonous, at least not to all conceivable forms of life. And amino acids are an important part of forming life. They're not going to form life... I mean, just having a bunch of amino acids is insufficient. It's one of the reasons why, you know, there's a lot of ongoing research. And sure, we don't have a lot of the answers surrounding the initial origin of life. But this experiment was just, and I want to emphasize this, the only point of the Miller-Urey experiment was to see if amino acids could form abiotically. The answer was yes.
He made mostly only 2 amino acids. There are 20 different ones required to make life. 20 different amino acids. Now,
hey, Ken got something right. All life uses 20 amino acids, except for some that have been induced by humans to use an extra one.
these amino acids are kind of like letters of the alphabet, okay? You have to have 26 letters in the English alphabet to make all the words that we have. Well, you have to have 20 different amino acids to make all the proteins that your body has. With those 20 different amino acids, your body can build a bazillion different kinds of proteins.
Technically right. I'll drink for it.
A bazillion, though?
Well, I mean, he's just saying a large number. I wouldn't ding anyone else for that either. It's just a colloquial term for a large number.
Sure. Like you can make a lot of different words with the same 26 letters, okay? What he actually made was a couple of letters, like 2 of the letters of the alphabet, by combining these.
No, you said most of what he made was 2 amino acids. You didn't tell us what they were, and I actually don't know if that's correct. But I mean, I'm willing to just say sure, why not? It's true. But that's not all he made. By your very own words, Kent. You could, like, it's. One of the things I really hate is how obvious it is that he's lying when he contradicts himself.
Acids. This creates a real problem since half of them were left-handed and half of them were right-handed. What he actually made was amino acids, only 2 of them, and half of them were backwards.
Of course, Kent puts his own name because what matters more to Kent besides Kent?
That's true, but I also might have done the same thing. So, well, not Kent. I would have used my name, Dapper. But yeah, they were half right and half left-handed. I'll drink for it. And it is also one of the ongoing areas of study. Why is it that life only use, I think it's left-handed, right? RJ, help me make sure I'm right about that, because I can't remember off the top of my head for no reason.
If I drop letters of the alphabet, there's a 50-50 chance some of them are going to land upside down. They don't do any good. You have to have them all facing the right way.
Oh, Kent, you're giving me a stroke.
Do we have to drink for that?
That's the stupidest thing I may have ever heard. Is he talking about like the letters, the refrigerator magnets, to teach your toddlers how to write? I mean, I assume that's the analogy he's going for, but what he's basically saying is, and he's broadly correct about the basic idea, but molecules can have what's called chirality, right? Where they're mirror images of each other. So like if a good way to understand chirality is like look at your hands, right? You can't put your left hand and your right hand in the same orientation and have them line up. You can put them palm to palm, but that means they're in opposite orientations, right? A lot of molecules are like that too. You can have a molecule with the same formula and the same angles between the same different bonds, but they're mirror images of each other.
And life on Earth, at least, all uses dextro amino acids, which means they're all quote-unquote left-handed. I don't know exactly how they determine which set to call left or which set to call right-handed. It might have been arbitrary, but whatever. And it's one of the current mysteries in abiogenesis. Why is it that these were the version of the amino acid selected? Because it doesn't seem obvious that there's any difference in whether you would have dextro or levo proteins making up life, but yeah. Oh, and James Downer says, Jackson Wheat and I have a section on the chirality issue. There are more details than he makes out. And actually, by the way, I am about to link in the chat, and let me copy it. I am linking in the chat right now, if I can figure out how to do things. Here we go. Nope, that's not it. I'm sorry, my computer is giving me troubles. But I'm going to be linking to RJ's book on Amazon, RJ and Jackson Wheat's book on Amazon.com. It's called The Rocks Were There: Straight Science Answers to Bent Creationist Questions. So this is written directly to you, Bent.
Me?
Yeah, they wrote it to you. You're addressed in the title or the subtitle. So that is the link. It is only, I think, $5 on Kindle, or $6 on Kindle, sorry, and $24.23 on Prime, apparently. So go check that out if you would like. So there you go. Yeah. Oh.
About 70 to 100 amino acids, all of them facing the right way. This greatly compounds the problem, okay? DNA and RNA are all right-handed, all other proteins are left-handed. It's a very puzzling fact. All proteins that have been investigated from animals, plants, and higher organisms, and from simple organisms, bacteria, molds, even viruses, are made of left-handed amino acids.
You know what? I was right about dextro versus levo, so I'm going to drink to that because I was really like, oh, I hope I remember this correctly. There we go.
They're all that way. So he's really got a problem since half of his letters were backwards. And there are hundreds of amino acids required to combine in just the right way to make a protein, and they unbond in water faster than they bond. And they claim this all happened in the oceans. Well, the oceans are completely full of water.
I'm actually not very confident that they unbond faster than they bond in water, mostly because the inside of a cell is mostly water, and I feel like proteins don't just fall apart once they leave a ribosome. Well, what do I know?
All the way to the bottom. And Brownian motion's going to drive them apart. It's not going to put them together. One of the lies in the textbooks is that they made life in the laboratory. They have all they've done. Every experiment has made the problem worse for the evolutionist, okay? Spontaneous generations do not occur spontaneously in water. Life is not going to get started in this way. There's a whole lot more in the book, Icons of Evolution, if you want a lot more on the subject.
Man, I have
life
that
and
book
water
too.
Don't get along well.
No, yeah. If you have, look, you should.
Ever heard of drowning?
Yeah, exactly. If you have more than like 20% water, you should probably go get yourself dehydrated.
I would never go near water.
Also, I am not a qualified physician. Do not ever take medical advice from me. If you need medical advice, please consult a physician, and not Kent Hovind. Don't.
An actual doctor.
Yeah, an actual doctor who has an actual doctorate degree in actual medicine.
Go down deep. But they got this weird idea in their head that all they have to do is get all the right chemicals together and then add energy, and it'll make life. Okay, well, let's do an experiment. Let's put a frog in a blender and turn it on.
Oh, God. Stop abusing frogs, Kent.
How many frogs has Kent killed?
Okay, in the chat, I want you to type the number of frogs that you think Kent has put in the blender. Just type out how many you think. I think it's more than 3, but I'm not sure.
In a matter of moments, you will have frog nog. And you will have all of the chemicals required to make a frog in one blender, right? Then we're going to add energy. You can turn it on puree for 30 minutes. You can nuke it, microwave it, zap it with jumper cables. I don't care what you do. Drop a hand grenade in there. Add all the energy you want, okay? How long will it take to reassemble the frog?
It's not going to reassemble, but no one claiming any idea for abiogenesis is supposing that frogs could reassemble from blended up frogs. Like, that's not anyone's position. So I don't know why he's going on about it. But we have some interesting answers. 5, no frogs from Dartman. Oh, all right. Going pro Kent on this one, I see. Trim Trask says 879.3. 10 to the 17th from Robert Adsit. I don't think there would be any frogs left at that point. Luca Meduno says 10. Atheist Junior 69. Very very nice. Oh, Alamo says 1 every Christmas for that delicious frog nog. A Factar 250,000. All right, those are some good answers. I like it.
It'll never happen.
That's true,
Just
Kent.
getting the chemicals together.
You know what? I'll drink for it. That's true, Kent. It won't come back into a frog. You got me on that one.
Isn't the problem. You go to the mortuary. You got a dead body laying there. You got all the chemicals required for life right there in one spot. Bring it back to life. Life is something different. I don't think science has ever defined that clearly, but they talk about how we all came from this early life form.
Oh, and Armageddon's Fire says none. They were toads. Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
Well, Kent, science hasn't necessarily defined life, but it's described by science. The requirements for something to be considered alive. But hey, who cares about that, Kent?
I know.
How would you know basic science? You only have a doctor's degree.
In Christian education.
Which I still don't understand. Is that educating Christians? Like, how is that different than educating anyone? I guess you need to know the propaganda. I don't know.
Once this first life form got started, this single cell, then it evolved into everything else. Like this textbook shows the kids that a bacteria slowly evolved to a human.
Actually, I might give him that might be what it says, except I'm pretty sure that it says protist down there because it doesn't look like it says bacteria, and those cells look nucleated. I mean, I'm not a cytotechnologist or anything.
It's just lines on paper. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
These trees of life are absolute propaganda. There is no evidence for any of these, okay? Even Mary Leakey said, those trees of life with the branches of our ancestors, that's a lot of nonsense, okay? Stephen Gould said the evolutionary trees that adorn our textbooks are not the evidence of fossils, that's for sure. There is no evidence that any animal is real.
Stephen J. Gould. Anyone in the chat, if you can guess what Stephen J. Gould was probably talking about, I will give you 3 evolutions that you can take home and do whatever you want with. So let's see if the chat can figure out what Stephen J. Gould might have possibly been talking about. First person that gets it gets 4 evolutions.
Whoa, 4 evolutions?
Yeah.
Related to any other kind of animal. But this textbook says, all the many forms of life on Earth today are descended from a common ancestor found in a population of primitive unicellular organisms. There's no such thing as a primitive unicellular organism.
Unicellular?
Yeah, unicellular. That's just Kent being crazy. But the thing is, there's no such thing as a primitive unicellular organism. Well, if by primitive you mean basal, then yeah, there are. There are things called archaea. But there are no primitive unicellular organisms anymore in the sense of temporal, that they came a long time ago.
Oh, unidentified Leviathan is back.
Yeah, he's been back for a bit now.
Oh, I thought he was going... He said good night earlier.
Oh, did you
Welcome back, unidentified Leviathan.
If it's alive, it's complicated. We'll cover more on that in a minute. And then it says, no traces of those events remain. What they do is they tell the kids, okay, kids, the mammals, the birds, and the crocodiles have a common ancestor. They draw these trees in the books, and they look so pretty, and the kid goes, wow, they've got proof. I saw it in my book. No, they've got a picture in your book, okay?
Oh, and Atheist Junior gets 4 internets for the night, where he says, gee, I wonder if it's punctuated equilibrium. And there you go. Stephen J. Gould, famous for essentially co-inventing the idea of punctuated equilibrium, was talking about how the various trees tended to depict, like this one, slow, gradual, constant change over time, when in fact the fossil record revealed more punctuated evolution between areas, or rapid evolution, well, okay, let me start over. long periods of stasis punctuated by rapid morphological development. Who'd have thought?
Not Kent, that's who.
Yes, that is correct.
Everything inside that circle is pure religious speculation. They think it happened, they hope it happened, but there is zero evidence for anything inside that circle.
Nope.
That's fake. Kent's fake news.
Yep, there's in fact overwhelming evidence from a multitude of various fields, any of which would be enough pretty much on their own to establish the fact of common ancestry.
It's one of the lies you're going to have to face in your textbook. The Bible says if you offend one of these little ones, you'd be better off with a millstone about your neck. Go swimming. These folks teaching evolution are in serious trouble when they stand before God. Then they tell them we come from a simple, primitive, unicellular organism. Look, just because it's smaller doesn't mean it's simpler. A paramecium is more complicated than a space shuttle. And you can put thousands of those into one drop of water.
We're gonna drink for Mothra just because I'm thirsty. So there we go.
Smaller is not simpler. That's one of the lies in the textbooks. I'll show you. Here's a microchip inside a paperclip. Pretty small. Not simple. This microchip is being held in the mouth of an ant, and that little microchip can process every letter of the Bible 200 times per second.
Yeah, but that's only 26 letters, Kent.
Smaller is not simpler.
You know what? I'll drink to that. I agree. Smaller is not simpler, Kent. Good job. You got one right. I might be running out of this drink. I might have to run and get a new one soon.
I might have to run and get more also.
Uh-oh. We can't both run at the same time. You go, and when you get back, then I'll be able to go. Or, I mean, if we both go at the same time, then who's going to do anything on the stream?
I've got, I got enough. You can go.
All right. Better entertain the stream, man. Also, if Godzilla happens, drink.
All right, stream. Let's make Godzilla happen. He'll get back, and then he'll have to go get another drink, because he's got to drink all of Godzilla's drinks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 3 of them made sound, but that's okay. What is a unicellular organism anyway? Is that the university he went to taught him that house that he got his doctor's degree in Christian education? Is that education for Christians or to Christians? Oh, Bob Knob's doing it! I don't even drink alcohol and I'm getting drunk. That's how many drinks we're drinking. The rocks are there. Straight science answers to bent Hovind creationist questions. That doesn't say Hovind. It has 807 pages. That's a lot of pages.
Damn it, Bob Knob. I can only drink so much at a time.
There are probably 15 or so.
I tried to drink 4 of them while I still had a little bit left, and then after that I lost count, so I drank a little bit more of my last drink. And that'll just have to suffice, Bob. Alright.
Bob will get more in later.
Alright, I'm sure he will. Yeah, Bob Knob, unfortunately, knows how to activate the Godzilla mode, so... which may or may not have something to do with me knowing Bob in real life. So, yeah,
Bob's a cool guy.
Bob is a cool guy, and that might have been a bit much. Maybe a little bit. Did I miss anything? Okay, no super chats missed, so I don't care what else you said.
No super chats.
Although Atheist Jr. says, let's talk about Godzilla, and tell you what, anyone who wants to do like a Godzilla theme stream, I can do it on my other channel. Top hats off. And yeah. I'm also still looking out for people who might want to do who's the best Warhammer 40k Primarch debate. I know we had some people say Magnus the Red, and Magnus is pretty cool, but I don't know. I'm still pretty partial to Mortarion and Petrarabo, so...
I really don't know, but I would totally do a Godzilla stream.
All right, well, we've got some ideas going, so, you know, Bob, maybe if you want to be on the Top Hats Off, we can chat about Godzilla.
I'll show you.
That'd be
Let's
cool.
compare the brain of a honeybee to NASA's Cray computer.
Okay.
At one time, the world's fastest computer. I think they got a faster one now.
Hey, what's the fastest computer now? What's the speed in flops?
I don't know.
Oh, someone look it up.
The brain of a honeybee is pretty small. The Cray computer is huge.
Yep.
We would all agree there's a size difference, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Kent got something right.
The Cray computer could do 6 billion calculations per second. It was estimated that the honeybee's brain is doing about 1 trillion calculations per second, 1,000 billion. So that little honeybee brain is about 133 times faster than a Cray computer.
Okay, hold on. So now that we actually have some topics about Godzilla and Magnus, here's what to do. Okay. If you want to have a Godzilla or a Primarch stream and you want to be on, DM or tag me in a tweet. And because right now, as far as I know, the fan Discord isn't quite up yet. So if you want to have any of these discussions live on air on Top Hats Off, send me a DM, send me a private message if we're on Facebook together, send me a tweet, and we will set something up. So let me know. And yeah, if you want to do Godzilla versus Magnus, I don't care. I'll do it. I don't give an F about nothing.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
The Cray uses many megawatts. It's power hungry. The honeybee uses 10 microwatts.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, honeybees not only make honey, they fly on honey. That's their energy source. And a honeybee can fly 1,000,000 miles on 1 gallon of honey.
I'm pretty sure that bees eat nectar, and then they feed honey to their young. But I'm
I
not.
have to drink. Don't you mean a honeybee? That's like saying rabies kills 4,000 Americans every 1,000 years. Like, the ratio could be correct, but like, I don't think honeybees fly 1,000,000 miles in their lifetime.
Or
I could be wrong.
Or could ever drink an entire gallon of honey.
I could be wrong, but I don't think.
You know what I would do if I had a gallon of honey?
Mm-mm.
I would make several gallons of mead.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe I would get rid of the alcohol from like a few quarts or something of it and hand it off to you. You get some nice, dry, alcohol-free mead.
Heck yeah, I would drink that.
How would you like a machine that gets 1,000,000 miles per gallon? Especially at today.
My car gets 3 rods to the hogshead, and that's the way I like it.
Today's price of gas, right?
You know
Fill
what,
up once
Kent?
and you're done for the rest.
Honeybees can't support my weight the way my car can. So, you know, you're an idiot, Kent. A smug idiot.
Yes.
The Cray cost $48 million. The honeybee's brain is pretty cheap. You splat them on your windshield all the time, right?
Do you? I don't.
Many people scramble when the Cray breaks down. Nobody heals the honeybee. A self-healing computer.
Whoa.
Steve, you work on computers. How'd you like one of them? Something crashes,
Is that Steve?
reconfigures
The
itself,
same
fixes it all up, no problem.
Wait. Steven Steen, are you still here? Because I think Kent just called you out, man.
Cray weighed 2,300 pounds. Honeybee's brain doesn't weigh too much. So what should we conclude? Let's see, the supercomputer is huge, it is slow, it is very inefficient, it is power hungry, and it had to be designed.
Yes, that is true. I will drink to that. Mostly because I think that what's coming next is going to be so stupid, I might have to drink again.
We all know that, right? But did they turn around
Sorry, hold on. T-Lane said a smuggiot. I like it. That is a good portmanteau, my friend.
and look at the honeybee and say, well, that happened by chance? And the brain
No one is going to say that it happened by chance, as if evolution were just this dice rolling game. That's okay. Ooh, where is that? What is that? A D30?
It's a curiosity box. I think it's a 60.
It's D60. I've never had call for a D60, but I like it.
They chose 60 because you can divide it to whatever number that are common, like 12 or 20, or I don't know. I don't do it, but it came with a curiosity box.
All right. Well, hey, Curiosity Box doesn't sponsor me, but if you want a curiosity box, I guess go get a curiosity box.
Human's a whole lot more complex than a honeybee.
Is it? What?
38 honey.
I want to know in what way a human is measurably more complex than a honeybee. Because I honestly can't think of one. I mean, more complex heart, sure. But other than that, like, what is it that makes a human more or less complex than a honeybee?
He's talking about the computing power of our brains.
Okay, but
Honeybee brain to
you know what?
supercomputer brain.
You know what humans can't do? They can't drink nectar and vomit honey. So, point honeybee. Because you know what? I have a little plastic jar of honeybee vomit. But if I had a plastic jar of human vomit, I would throw it in the trash.
Yeah, bee vomit tastes a lot better.
Yeah,
I
so...
got some in this awesome mug that had some tea in it.
For heaven's sake, your brain can hold more information than the entire British Library. The human brain is
how did you
phenomenal,
measure that?
okay? You have more computational power in bits per second than the entire national telephone system.
That's a weird thing to compare it to, but okay. The entire national telephone system? I've never heard anyone talk about the speed in flops of the national telephone. That is so weird. Okay, sure, whatever, Kent.
One brain surgeon estimated that there are more connections in just one person's brain.
Oh, and Bob Knob points out, I can vomit honey. Just give me that jar of honey and I'll show you. Tell you what, next time you're in Phoenix, Bob, I will feed you an entire jar of honey just to see you vomit it up.
There are more connections than the entire electrical system of the United States.
Well, that's not very
How
surprising.
many wires have been connected together in the United States, would you guess? Inside every computer and inside every machine and inside every building?
More than 8. That's my guess. What's your guess, Bent?
More than 9.
Oh! Well, we better hope that it's not 8, because under Price is Right, or 8.5, because then under Price is Right rules, I'm right.
Yeah, if it's 8 or less,
Goodness!
then I'd be wrong.
It's Godzilla! There we go.
Like zillions of them. One brain has more than that. One professor told me that he believed in evolution, and I said, well, sir, do you believe your brain is nothing but 3 pounds of chemicals that got together by chance?
3 pounds of chemicals, yes, that got together by chance. No, Kent. Oh, it's so stupid. I'm gonna drink for it before I explain it. Alright, Kent. Everyone, and I mean everyone, that has even the most rudimentary knowledge of this subject, and the subject, in fact, is embryology, because that's how brains form. I don't know if you know, but everyone acknowledges that embryology is directed by genetics, and that embryological development is by and large deterministic. If you have an embryo with human genes, you'll get a human baby out at the end, assuming it's not fatally flawed in some way that causes it to self-terminate. And that, you know, whoever's carrying it actually manages to carry it to term. You know, fine. We'll give it those caveats. And if you take an embryo with cow genes, it'll grow a cow, and you'll get a cow brain out of it. Again, with the same caveats. This is not a chance process. Now, you could ask the question whether or not the genes got that way by chance, and the answer is partially. But there's a whole lot of non-chance going on there. So this is actually one of the things that really, really bugs me about a lot of anti-evolutionists, is that they just throw this word chance around as if chemistry and biology were just stochastic roll of the die. Like, oh, it could be any number. Let's just see what we get on our D8 million, which is way better than a D60, by the way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's more complex.
That's true. Just like a honeybee. All right, so we'll keep on with this.
He said, yeah. I said, then how can you trust your thoughts and the conclusions you come to?
Because they have a high degree of correspondence to reality when tested. That's how. Like, literally, that's how. If human thoughts were in general unreliable, then they wouldn't work to get things done in the real world. But like, you know, when you're feeling like, oh, hey, I have this hunger feeling, I bet I should go eat. and then you go find some food and you eat and you start feeling better, or when you're like, gee, I wonder how I could get to the top of that tree to pick that apple up there, and then you manage to plan a route up the tree, and then you execute the route and it works. Yeah, those are ways you can test your brain ideas to see if they're working.
I can't believe we're talking about this because Kent Hovind is making us.
He's not making us. I'm making us,
Well,
if anything. Well, you're also
but-
partially making us.
But Kent, like, what, Kent?
Yeah,
Like-
I don't know.
What are you trying to even say here?
See, evolution would apparently make brains that just make the worst possible decision, because that's how natural selection works. It makes you dumb on purpose. Yeah, okay, I'll drink to that too.
Maybe you got a chemical in there backwards. He did, by the
What?
way, several actually. But
What does
I
that
tell the kid-
what does that even mean?
Kent.
We're drinking again for chemical backwards.
I'm just
man.
going to get ready for the next one because he's going to say, the next thing he says is going to be stupid.
Well, when is that
I
ever
know,
not
it's-
true?
It's a pretty good bet.
Yeah.
well, DNA is pretty tiny, but that proves evolution. That's what this textbook says. We have evidence of evolution from molecular biology.
Okay, saying we have evidence from molecular biology is not exactly the same as saying DNA per se proves evolution. Because you know what? I would agree.
Those are very different things.
Well, yeah, but I would also agree. The bare existence of DNA does not prove evolution. I'll say that that's fair. If you just said, hey, this molecule exists and it is the mechanism for heritability in this group of heritably reproducing chemical processes, that would not be enough to conclude evolution. However, the actual patterns of genes and inheritance and cross-taxon confirmation about these patterns does provide extremely strong evidence for evolution. In fact, I would say it's conclusive on its own. But, whatever.
Darwin speculated all forms of life are related. This speculation has been verified.
Oh,
They are-
Godzilla!
I need
Drink.
more drink.
Uh-oh. Well, I drank for Godzilla, and I'm going to keep going for a bit, because we got to push through this. And I have the play button.
Lying to your kids. Nothing about DNA has helped with the evolution theory at
Oh, I just got a request to roll 3d6. Where are my dice? Here are my dice. Alright, Trim to Rest. You have to rest for 3d6 days. Alright, here we go. Let me get some d6s out of here. Oh, come on, that's a d100. There's a d6. Okay, there's one. I'm gonna get more. Give me a second. There's one shaped like a knuckle bone. I like that one. Okay, what do we got here? It's a d8, d20, two d20s, one of which is shaped like a barrel. That's pretty cool. And here we go, another d6. This one is red with white pips, so I like that one too. All right, here we go. Ready? We're gonna roll the 3d6 for Trim Tarask. All right, Trim Tarask, you need to rest for 9 days. I rolled a 3, a 2, and a 4. 9 days. There you go.
That's a lot of rest.
Yeah. So basically, if you need me to roll dice, I totally can, because I have a bunch of dice just sitting on my desk. Like, there you go. I just rolled a 10 on a percentile die, and I'll roll a d10 too. There's a 7. 17. Okay, here we go.
44.
Nice.
all. DNA, which stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, is the most complex molecule in the universe. Unbelievably complicated
Universe.
molecule.
Kent, come on.
I know, it's unicellular. Must be universe.
That little DNA molecule, average person has 50 trillion cells in their body with 46 of those little molecules in each cell. 46 chromosome strands in each cell of your
Ooh.
body.
Grapefruit,
If you
huh?
extracted all of it, it would only fill
Sparkling.
about 2 tablespoons. But if you took those DNA strands and unwound them, stretched them out, tied them together, one person's DNA would reach from Earth to the moon and back over half
And
a
that
million
matters
times.
for no reason.
Like, I don't even know if that's true. I don't really care, but like, yeah, like you said, okay.
I mean, that's like, if you tell a 4-year-old that, they're like, whoa, cool.
I mean,
But who cares?
yeah.
What does that have to do with anything in this lecture?
Yeah, it's
And he says it like in his debates too. It's like,
I know.
Great, Kent. Thanks for wasting 8 seconds.
Yeah, way to give us something that I'm just gonna assume. I'm not gonna drink for it because I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it to him. Sure, let's just say that's true.
Right.
Okay. And the conclusion we can draw from this is that DNA is neat, I guess. Okay, DNA is neat.
The conclusion is that God created DNA, not that it evolved.
Okay, I guess that doesn't make sense at all, but sure, why not?
No, it's not a sound or valid argument.
No.
That's why it doesn't make any sense.
That's a good point.
Round trips to the moon. They say the DNA holds more information than all computer programs ever written by man combined.
Well, that's just not true. I actually looked into this, and you could fit the entire genome. Oh, excuse me. My goodness. A little hiccup there.
I mean, genomes are stored in computers. How would that be possible?
Yeah, so you can put the entire genome uncompressed on a single CD with room to spare.
What's a CD?
It's a
I
compact
think
disc.
today's youth might not know
right.
what that is.
It's like a Blu-ray, but way more primitive. It only holds
No, they might not know what a Blu-ray is either.
Okay.
They might.
Floppy disk?
So before Spotify and satellite radio, they used to store music on these things called compact discs, also known as CDs.
Careful, those are antiques.
Old people like us still use them in our cars. You can put the music on it, and then you put it in a player, and it'll like spin up and play the music. Yeah.
Oh, and TD Lane points out, Dapper Dino, do you know who is funny? Alan Fiducia. He is actually kind of funny. Poor Alan Fiducia, man. That guy just has, he's got to get a clue. And the thing is, it's not like he's not a smart guy. In case anyone doesn't know, Alan Fiducia is the paleoornithologist, which means he studies ancient birds, who for some reason thinks that birds are more closely related to crocodiles and alligators than they are to dinosaurs, and who creationists used to say that birds aren't at all reptiles, even though that's not what Alan Fiducia thinks. I like to point it out to them. Like, do you know what Alan Fiducia thinks about birds? Because he doesn't think what you think.
IBM models the newest computers after DNA. The quantity of information is so vast, we have to invent new numbers to measure it. Not terabytes, petabytes, or exabytes, yottabytes, and zettabytes. All the words uttered by everyone who ever lived would amount to 5 exabytes.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just a combination of 26 letters, though, Kent.
Yeah, but like,
I know that's only for English. There's other languages, but
who cares how much data it would take to store all the words ever uttered by anyone who ever... Like, okay, great, it's a big number. That's not nearly at all how much the average person has in their DNA. I mean, it's orders of magnitudes less in your DNA, but sure, why not?
And your DNA and your chromosome holds more information than that. It is so unbelievably complex. If you typed out the code found in your DNA, when you got done typing, you'd have enough books to fill Grand Canyon 78 times.
No, you would have enough to fill a single bookcase. It's been done, Kent.
Kent, who cares?
Well, yeah, first of all, it's
cares?
stupid, but it's also literally not even close to... You know what? I'm going to drink it because it was so stupid.
It doesn't matter. What is he getting
Not
at?
only is it not true, but you could... Basically, the entire human DNA code could be typed out in slightly small font in the size it would take to get like an unabridged, very good encyclopedia. Basically, it would take up a modest-sized bookshelf. That's it. Is that a lot? Yeah. Would I want to read it? No. But is it some kind of astronomical number? No.
If you use a big enough font,
That's the
it could
instruction.
It's true. And Alan means big numbers means God. All right, there you go. I guess that's the argument that Kent is going for.
It's more like big numbers mean flood.
Well, doesn't flood mean God?
And then flood mean... I don't even know if Kent cares anymore. He just cares about blood.
And money. Don't forget the money.
That's true. Money.
To make you. I'd say you're pretty special.
I mean, sure.
List of
You're
instructions
special,
to make you.
Kent.
David said, I will praise thee, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And he didn't have a microscope, and he could figure that out. Yeah. You know, from conception to birth, the baby adds 15,000 cells per minute to its body. Each one is more complicated than a space shuttle.
You know what? I've heard Kent say this a whole bunch, that each cell is more complicated than a space shuttle. I want to know how he measures it. Because I'm unconvinced that each cell is more complicated than a space shuttle, but I'd be willing to be convinced. It wouldn't really matter, but it's a weird thing to say, because, like, what's the unit for complexity? Is it the complexon?
I don't know.
The human cell has 320 gigacomplexons, but the space shuttle only has 24 gigacomplexons. Like, what are we even talking about? How do you measure these things?
Why does any of this? What is any of this? This is called lies in the textbooks, right?
Yep.
All this neat information that 5-year-olds would think is cool. Like, what does that have to do with lies in textbooks?
Your guess is as good as mine.
How would you like to be in charge of the supply end of supplying a factory that is producing 15,000 space shuttles a minute? And it's your job to make sure they have all the nuts and bolts and screws and everything they need to put that thing together.
Ken, it takes a whole lot less energy to make 15,000 human cells than it takes to make 15,000 space shuttles. So yeah, you know what? I was in charge of a factory that made 15,000 human cells. And you know what? Wasn't that bad.
Was that a sex factory?
I mean, that came after the sex, because then I was building myself up by adding 15,000 cells to myself each day.
Even dinosaurs do that?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just assume that it's going to be on at least the same order of magnitude, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to split hairs on that one. But you know what? It wasn't that bad. However, I'm pretty sure it would be a lot harder to make 15,000 space shuttles. So you know what? I'll drink for it. You're right. That would be a lot harder, Kent. Not sure why that means space shuttles are simpler than human cells, or dinosaur cells for that matter. Not that dinosaur cells are significantly more or less complicated than human cells. Except for the blood cells. I don't know if you know, but dinosaur red blood cells are nucleated, so get wrecked, mammals.
What?
Yeah.
That's weird. You're weird.
No, it's awesome.
I mean, my blood cells are nucleated. The white blood cell.
Oh!
Some of them have like 5 nuclei, or at least they look like they do.
Some of you women are saying, boy, I did it, and that's hard too. Sometimes they want pickles in the middle of the night, you know. What are you doing
Pregnancy.
down there anyway, you know? The probability of one DNA happening by
If you
chance.
talk bad about pickles, I will punch you through my computer.
I don't think he is. I think he's just talking about the fact of pregnancy cravings. Which, I mean, okay, you know what? I'll drink for it. Kent is right. Pregnancy cravings are a thing. Good job, Kent. You got the basic, like, behavioral phenomenon of pregnancy cravings broadly correct. Okay, the probability of just one DNA arranging itself by chance has been calculated to be 1 chance in 10 to the 199 or 119,000. Well, it's a good thing that DNA doesn't arrange itself by chance, isn't it, Kent?
Has been calculated to be 1 in 10 to the 119,000th power. That's a big number when you figure the entire visible universe is about 10 to the 28th inches in diameter.
Okay.
DNA has not proven anything that would help the evolution theory. It's been made the problem much, much, much worse. But
Nope.
let's just assume that the chromosome number means something, and that, you know, it could evolve. Okay, well then I did some research on it.
The chromosome number means something. Yeah, it means how many chromosomes you got, Kent. I don't know. You know what? I have to drink because I don't even know what to say to that. Let's just assume the chromosome number means something. Okay, what? Oh, goodness, Kent, you're gonna kill me one of these days.
On this, I discovered penicillin has 2 chromosomes.
Okay.
That one had to evolve.
First, bacteria don't have chromosomes. At least not the same way that eukaryotes do. Their DNA exists in like a loop, like an actual circle that floats freely in the cell, and it doesn't bunch up into a chromosome like it does in eukaryotes. So, and yeah, you know what? I am a rabid anti-Kentite. Like, I just don't... Oh wait, is he talking about penicillin on the mold? Alright, never mind. I'm sorry, I was wrong. You know what? I'm gonna blame Legs, who's not here, despite the fact
It's
that he could
his
have been.
fault.
Yeah. So Legs is our
He
friend.
was invited.
Yeah,
and
who was
he
invited?
said, "Oh, maybe I don't know," and then like, no, of course not.
Yeah. So Legs is our friend who never shows up to anything. but he's still our friend because we like it when he shows up.
Yeah.
Which is extremely rarely. But I'm going to blame him for me mixing up penicillin with a bacterium, because penicillin is in fact a mold, which makes it a fungus. So yes, it does have.
It's like the only mold I'm not allergic to.
Well, good job on that one. Bob Knob, did you just assume my chromosomes? I'm going to assume 48, and what are you going to do about it, buddy?
That's a lot.
Oh! I guess that's what he's going to do about it. He's going to cause a Godzilla roar. Actually, I don't know that way. But alright, Ken, tell us how many chromosomes things have, because that's important.
First. And then slowly, over millions of years, they got some more chromosomes, because they're complicated, you know, and turned into a
Since
fruit fly.
penicillin has only 2 chromosomes, it must have evolved first.
Yeah, that's how that works. Chromosomes
That
either fuse...
Stupid.
Yeah, that is very stupid.
Oh, wait. The evolution of life according to the increasing number of chromosomes. That is stupid.
You just want me to get drunk just like Bob Knob does.
It's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, but... Oh my goodness. I just knocked one of my barrel-shaped D20s into my chair and then it fell on the ground.
Yeah, you might already be too drunk for the rest of the stream. I'm
well,
not trying to get you too drunk. I'm just trying to read what it says on the screen. And
but you know what I rolled?
it's so stupid. What'd you roll?
A 20.
20?
Yeah.
20 chromosomes? That's the most evolved roll you can roll.
On a D20, you could roll way higher.
You can see the similarity there. It's only got 8 chromosomes. And then very slowly, it evolved some more chromosomes and became either a tomato or a housefly. Very tough to tell the difference. They're identical twins, you know.
No one makes... yeah, I'm going to have to drink for like every single argument here, because no one says this. This is an argument made by no one. Clifford says, can't stop till you get enough. You know what? I'm pretty sure that was actually one of the... Can't Get Enough was the name of one of these.
Yeah.
No. And then very slowly, over millions of years, it evolved into either a P or a B. You can see the similarity there, you know, P, B, very similar. And slowly became lettuce, and then a carrot, and finally, when we got to 22
P's and
chromosomes,
B's similar?
triplets.
What? Dude, don't even ask.
Oh, I'm having a stroke.
Well, they rhyme. That's why.
They do rhyme.
It was a pun.
Wait a second. I want some of that corn or the other thing.
Bug Mayfair says, Nat 20, drink.
Hey, wait a minute. I bet if I had a bunch of marijuana, this would be the greatest video ever to watch. Get really high and then just watch Kent Hovind, and you'll be like, it all makes sense.
Well, that reminds me, I think your wife might have just brought some edibles recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
She should bring someone she visits.
I don't disagree.
The possum, the redwood tree, and the kidney bean all have 22 chromosomes.
Oh.
Average scientists cannot tell them apart.
Yep, nope, not at all.
Let's see, which one is which here? Okay, let's see, tree, possum, bean,
One thing that always confuses me just a little bit is like, Kent Hovind especially, and really a lot of creationists like to identify plants that we use for food by the part that we use for food. And like corn. Okay, well, what about the corn stalk as a whole? And like bean. Well, what about the bean plant? Like, oh, banana. Well, bananas grow on trees. It's the banana tree. It's not just the banana. It's a weird little thing that they say. Like, they don't take the whole organism. They just take the part that they're familiar with. Not that the cells in a bean would have a different number of chromosomes from the number of chromosomes on, you know, the bean stalk, which they probably would, except in weird cases of polyploidy, but still.
And we have 46, folks. And if we can just get 2 more. The next step of human evolution, we're going to become a tobacco plant.
Well,
I know some already smell like it. Sometimes I'll get on the elevator and I'll say, man, you're evolving, you're way ahead of me.
tobacco smoke doesn't smell like tobacco plants, Kent. That's not how it works.
And it probably won't happen in my lifetime, but we might get enough chromosomes someday to be either a dog or a chicken. They're twins too, you know. And then way down the road, you know, we're going to become a carp. They got double the chromosomes we do.
No, they got more than double. You just showed the number. That's not math. Kent, you claim to have taught math for 15 years.
Yeah, but it was a Christian education math.
Oh, I thought...
So he taught Christian math.
Well, I drank for it because Kent can't multiply by 2.
And someday, stardate 349572, we're going to become a fern.
Did Kent Hovind just reference Star Trek?
No.
He said stardate, and then he gave numbers.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Kent, you make me like Star Trek less.
Well, okay, CBS is doing that for me, but...
CBS is doing a good job of that, too.
Kent and CBS, you're ruining Star Trek. Stop it!
I was at a church one time, and this lady walked up to me afterwards, and she said, Mr. Hovind,
No, she didn't.
I'm Fern.
That might have happened, but I doubt it.
Shook hands with that hand right there. I'll never watch it again. Hey,
What?
how come the evolutionists are always comparing things that fit their theory? Why don't they show us the things that don't fit their theory?
Oh, they would love to. There aren't any. Like, not a thing. There is literally nothing that has ever been observed that does not correspond with the theory of evolution or has nothing to do with it. That is the entire category of things that have been observed. There are A, things that have nothing to do with evolution, and B, things that support it. I would love to see things that contradict it. Because, I mean, quite honestly, there are more fun ideas out there that could be true. Like, I'm not in favor of evolution for emotional reasons. It would be really cool to have some other idea, like if there were intelligent something or other designing things and that you could go meet the intelligent whatever, and they could give you explanations for things like cancer, because I'd like a really good explanation for it. Just so happens that no such things have ever been found. So, sorry.
Like, let's just say we're going to examine how things evolved based upon how long they lived.
Well, that would be stupid, because closely related organisms, even organisms you say are closely related, Ken, vary in how long they live. Ken, you personally think that the lifespan of humans can range from like 900 to like 30. You think that's a reasonable spectrum for one species. I'm going to drink that, because it was stupid, and I agree with Ben, it was stupid.
Well, we could arrange animals by how long they live, and we'll find out the hamster evolved first, slowly turned into
Why don't you just arrange them by how many hairs they have? Or like how tall they are?
And also, why is youngest or, shortest lifespan first? I don't know, just because Kent thinks that living a long time is a good idea. But guess what? Some organisms thrive with a short lifespan because they don't have to sit around waiting for a long time to reproduce. Like, there's
I've lived longer now than ever before in my life.
Yeah.
And the last 83 minutes have been pretty rough for me.
I'm sorry.
I'll just say that. Come on, Kent.
cats, and
Stop.
then a canary, and then a dog, and then a chimpanzee, and an alligator, elephant, horse, turtle, and human. We made it, folks. We made it.
Hooray.
Let's arrange the animals based on how long they're pregnant, their gestation period.
Gestation period is almost entirely tied to mass. That's the thing. Right? Like, you look through these, and one of the things you notice is that their gestation period goes up with mass. At least if you keep it to, like, the, what are we going for? The placental mammals, who all have a similar level of, doneness, quote unquote, when they actually give birth. Like, it...
Well, in that case, the possum, only 13 days. How'd you like that, ladies? Only be pregnant for 13 days. Not bad, huh? Yeah, I'd have a bunch of kids in.
Yeah, except they would all die. What? Okay.
Slowly evolved into a hamster, then a rat, then a rabbit, kangaroo, on down the list, and the elephant. 640 days. They are the winner. The most evolved creature on Earth.
Hey guys, if we look at things that evolution predicts shouldn't map strongly with evolution, then it looks like evolution isn't true. Okay.
None of this looks like anything. This is, I guess it's interesting. Like, I didn't know these gestation periods. But what does this have to do with evolution?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Why would I used to be a big follower of Kent, and like a lot of the stuff that he said made sense to me, but I don't remember this off the top of my head. How would this mean anything to anyone who believes Kent, like, as being proof against evolution?
Confirmation bias.
It's not even that. It's just completely unrelated.
Well, like I said, there are two groups of things. There are things that are unrelated to evolution and things that support evolution. Kent is showing us things from column A, things that are unrelated to evolution, or at least broadly unrelated.
Or maybe you can see here the cat and the dog are identical twins, you know. Maybe we should arrange them based on how much they weigh in their adult form. Well, the shrew only weighs 4 grams. Slowly it became a mouse. And very slowly, over billions of years, became a whale.
But the thing is that Kent thinks that all, say, equids are related. So he thinks that a Clydesdale is related to a miniature horse. In fact, I agree with him. They are related. They share a common ancestor. So if we're going to take Kent's argument here seriously, that weight is a good way to group things in a phylogenetic tree, then Kent is wrong about his own ideas about common ancestry. Because a Clydesdale should be more closely related to a moose. But not even Kent is that stupid. Except I guess now he is, because he's presenting us with this chart. Clifford Reynolds says, it's Kent-formation bias. Keep those puns coming, guys.
Evolve now.
I think he's a little bit
Why don't
off
they show us
on
these
how
charts,
much a walrus weighs.
How much did he say?
1,400 kilograms.
How much did your research say?
2,200 pounds, which is about 997 kilograms.
Is that for a female or a male? Because males are
I don't know.
substantially heavier.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you know
check.
what? I mean, he can be wrong about walrus weight. I don't know.
I would have guessed less anyway. So
fair.
Is it that
yeah,
amphibians...
males can weigh as much as 2,000 kilograms.
Okay. Well, so
That's a lot.
yeah, like I said, males are in walruses, males are way bigger than females.
5 times more DNA than mammals, and some amoeba have 1,000 times more DNA.
Okay. What do you think evolution predicts for who should have the most DNA? Like, that's the thing. What? Yeah, it's stupid enough. I'm gonna drink for it. Like, the big book of evolution doesn't say that things that Kent finds to be subjectively inferior to humans should have less DNA. That's not a thing.
They don't tell us these things because it doesn't fit their theory. It's impossible to arrange in any sort of evolution.
You're right, it doesn't fit the theory because it has nothing to do with the theory. It's completely just a fact that you found out about. Okay. Like, it has as much to do with confirming or disconfirming evolution as how many of these tumbler glasses that I have left, which, by the way, is 5, because one broke in the freezer like a jerk.
Yikes.
Yeah,
You know, if you take the DNA in your cell and unravel it, and it can go to the moon like 500,000 times and back, that also has nothing to do with the theory of creation.
That's true.
So
It's like, how many big numbers does it take until creationism is true? I don't know. There's no number. It doesn't help. It doesn't help evolution either. No number of big numbers would help evolution either.
Evolutionary series based on just one little bit of facts. You better find all the facts. You find out this evolution theory fails miserably. But they tell the kids, we're going to think critically. Boys and girls, there are 20 kinds of amino acids. That's a fact.
Yep.
Explain how this fact supports the idea that all life shares a common ancestor.
Okay, I'll explain it. So, in fact, there are 22 amino acids. 2 of them are not used by living organisms on Earth. There's no particular reason they can't be, because they can also help form proteins. In fact, humans have managed to engineer certain bacteria to artificially use additional amino acids. So the fact that all life on Earth actually uses these 20 amino acids, even though there's no objective reason it has to, is in fact support for the idea that all organisms share a common ancestor that only use these 20 amino acids. There's my answer. Let's see what Kent's answer is.
How's a Christian kid supposed to answer that for homework for Monday?
The way I'd said. Just exactly what I said. Because you can say what I said and be a Christian. And a kid.
Don't you see a built-in assumption in this question?
Nope.
That's not learning to think critically.
Yes, it is.
Would the kid be allowed, teacher, to explain how this fact that they all have 20, all life forms have 20 amino acids, would the kid be allowed to say, maybe that proves the intelligence of a common designer?
Yes, he would, but it's not the question that was asked. So who would get it wrong? He's not going to go to jail.
Maybe God gave all the animals
What
the
if
same...
he asks that question and then doesn't pay taxes later on in his life? You go to jail then?
Then he might go to jail and then to prison. I'll drink to that.
Okay.
Not going to comment on the politics, but if you want to avoid prison... Oh, drink! Drink for Godzilla. I don't get political on this channel. However, here's some practical advice, kids. If you want to avoid prison, pay your taxes. There you go. That's simple as that.
basic 20 amino acids so that we don't have to just eat each other, you know.
Kent, if you ate something that... Okay. I'm going to let him finish this.
I mean, if they're all totally different, wildly different kinds, then we could only eat other humans. But see,
What is
God,
a kind?
No, well, I think he means kinds of amino acid, and there are 22 kinds. There it's fairly objective.
Okay.
But here's the thing, right? When you eat food, you don't just metabolize the proteins, right? You metabolize lipids, you metabolize sugars, you metabolize carbohydrates. None of these things are made out of amino acids. That's not how any of these things are formed. So, if you manage to eat some food that had proteins made of completely different amino acids, first of all, there's no guarantee that the various digestive enzymes and acids that you have in your GI tract couldn't break them down, simply pass the unused amino acids, and uptake the ones that aren't used. There's no reason to think that that wouldn't happen. But third, even if that were impossible, it were just completely impossible. Let's just say that you ate food that was dextroprotein, right? All the amino acids were the wrong way around. Like you were eating Turian fruit from Mass Effect. Yeah,
Thanks.
there's a reference for you. The thing that Mass Effect gets wrong is that would be completely useless to you from a nutritive standpoint. Because carbohydrates, sugars, and lipids don't have this same problem where they're composed of, amino acids you just can't metabolize. You could still break them down. So there isn't really a problem there. I mean, sure, it would be better if you could also metabolize 100% of the proteins. But, I mean, better doesn't mean you can't get anything out of eating proteins that you can't fully metabolize. Base power, come on.
made it this way so the brown cow can eat the green grass and give the white milk and make the yellow butter, and I eat it and get the blonde hair.
Yeah, except that the primary caloric constituent of butter is fat, Kent, which isn't based on amino acids.
Maybe that's why there's all the same basic building blocks. Yeah. One of the lies they face in the textbooks is this idea that all these similarities prove a common ancestor. Well, let's pretend that it does, okay?
Okay.
This textbook says humans and orangutans are 96% similar, proving a common ancestor 15 million years ago.
Well, that by itself doesn't really prove it, but okay.
I don't think so. Humans and chimps have thousands of differences. Thousands of differences. Overall, this guy says the genetic difference is only 1.6%. Oh, that's what they used to think, but that's a lie.
No.
Barney Maddox was the leading genome researcher on this project. He said the genetic difference between human and chimpanzee is at least 1.6%. That doesn't sound like much, but calculated out, that's a gap of 48 million nucleotides. And a change of only 3 nucleotides is fatal.
Yeah, if they're the right 3 nucleotides, but obviously those 48 million aren't. Like, it's not like if you just change any 3 random nucleotides in your genome that you're going to kill whatever results. Oh, goodness. Moved my little desk table there. Anyway, so we know, and Kent, you have quoted that each human has about 100 or so mutations from their parents. So new genetic sequences that didn't exist in their parents, or ones that have differences. Okay, so that means at a minimum, we got 100 nucleotide differences from you and your parents combined. So it can't just be that 3 nucleotides is just going to be automatically fatal, which is the point he's trying to make here. Stupid enough for a drink. Because not even you believe that, Kent. And those really are the ones that bug me the most. Is the ones where it's like, even you yourself know how wrong you are. And that's why I say that Kent Hovind is a liar. He's straight up a liar, and this is an example of why. Because he knows he's wrong.
I have to get another drink.
Okay, I'll keep going.
And 99% we share. I don't know. I just did a quick search.
It varies based on exactly which technique, but it's a lot.
To an animal. He said it's not going to happen. That's when they thought the difference was 1.6%. It's still too big of a gap. Now then, later they found
It's not too big of a gap. What does that even mean? That's just pointing out that a 1.6% gap can be very significant.
out, oh, actually it's a 95% similarity,
Okay, I mean, it's not, but sure.
which is 5% difference. And just recently they said, oh no, wow, look at this, it's 7.7% difference. The difference, the more we study about this, the worse the problem gets
None of those things are a problem.
for the evolutionist. Actually, it's becoming worse by the day. This result is based on only 1 million DNA bases out of 3 billion. They've only analyzed...
Okay, do you have a really good reason to think that 1/3 is an insufficient sample size? Like, honestly. Okay, so let's say you did a poll. Let's say there are 100 million voting age likely voters in the United States. Okay? It's just 100 million. It's a reasonable estimate. We'll just go with it. And you asked 33,333,333, so just under a third of them, who they were likely to vote for. You don't think that would be a sufficient sample size? Because I certainly do. No poll is ever that big, and polls tend to be fairly accurate with a much smaller sample size. So there's no reason to think that all the differences are hiding in the 2/3 you just didn't check.
1/3000th of the human DNA code. Very small percent has actually been analyzed. French and American scientists have mapped
1/3 is not a
chromosome
small
14,
percent.
the longest sequence to date, and the site of more than 60 disease genes. The feat enlisted nearly 100 researchers and marks the 4th of the 24 human chromosomes mapped so far.
Well, now they've all been mapped, so good job, Kent.
If somebody tells you they have mapped the entire human genome, you tell them Kent Hovind said they're mistaken or they're lying.
I am never going to tell them that, because Kent Hovind, you are almost always mistaken or lying.
Okay, they've only mapped a small percentage, okay? Then it's
Kent, you yourself think they've mapped 1/3 of it. Even if that were still true, that would not be a small percent. That would be a big percent.
says, the French National Sequencing Center said the chromosome is comprised of more than 87 million pairs of DNA, all of which have been sequenced, so the chromosome's map includes no gaps. This is the longest piece of contiguous DNA sequenced.
I just linked to a Wikipedia article about Kent Hovind.
Oh.
It's called Psychological Projection.
I appreciate that to a very high degree. However, I unfortunately have to be R to the B, so Spence, keep the chat not bored.
Okay, I'm going to tell you guys the best joke I can Google right now. 52 of the funniest two-line jokes ever. That means these jokes are all related because they'll have 2 lines. I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised. Oh, wait, now my ad block is like, no. That's it. That's all the jokes we get. Thanks, ad block, for blocking ads. This has been a particularly painful episode for me with the amount of stupid I've heard from Kent. Normally, his level of stupid I can handle. But this has been rough for me. Lots of drinks. And as you can tell, Dapper has been drinking a lot too, because he's clearly using the dinosaur bathroom. Let's see what the chat says. Anything new? Kent is eternally mistaken. It's true. Kent doesn't listen to what Kent, a few minutes younger, says. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. And it's just, it's baffling to me. Like, how, here's some trivia on like how many chromosomes these animals have and how long their gestation period is and how much they weigh. Like, I didn't know walruses weigh that much. That's interesting. What does it have to do with creation or evolution or lies in textbooks or really anything? It just doesn't make any sense. See, this is what I wonder about the Dapper Dino, because I've been to his apartment. It's not that big. Like, the ceilings are normal height. And I don't know how he, like, cleans up with his tiny dinosaur hands.
The butler takes care of it.
Oh, yeah, the butler!
Yeah. Also, I heard a Godzilla roar while I was gone. Unfortunately, you didn't, because you were muted so as to not have to hear things.
Okay.
So we'll drink for the Godzilla roar. There we go. Delicious. All right. Let's continue on with this. We got another, 15 minutes or so before we call it? Okay.
Yeah.
How far are we getting? Oh, 2 hours. We only got maybe a half hour left. So I'm going to have to actually download the next one because next Kent with Bent, we might actually finish this one.
Whoa.
Yeah.
87 million pairs, a fraction of the total 3 billion pairs found in the human genome.
Yes, Kent. Any number smaller than the other number is a fraction of the bigger number. I had to have my butler do that because I can't really clap because my arms don't reach that far, but I'll drink for him because technically Kent is right. One of those numbers is a fraction of the other one. Yay!
Kent taught fractions for 15 years. Christian fractions.
Christian fractions. Hey, okay, let's say I want to convert Isaiah Habakkuk's into Moses Jesus. How do I do that?
Like Malachi, 2 Peter.
Okay, there we go.
In that order. I don't know.
Nice.
They still don't know how much there's in there, and it's already 7.7% difference. This researcher said, human genome is littered with up to 20,000 pseudogenes. That proves evolution.
I mean, it doesn't prove evolution by itself, but yeah, it would be a little weird if God was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make humans, and I'm going to give them 20,000 genes that just don't work, even though we can tell what they're normally for, like the gulo pseudogene, which it could make vitamin C, preventing humans from ever getting scurvy, but nah, it just won't. They just can't make vitamin C. And I'll give every single primate the same breakage in the same gene, so all of them could get scurvy. Because I guess just F those guys, right?
I get this in debates all the time. They'll say, what about the pseudogenes? I say, there's no such thing. They say, well, yeah, there are thousands of pseudo, which means a false gene.
So Kent just thinks that the pseudogenes don't exist. Okay, sure. I guess they just don't exist. All those things people are mapping out in the genome, nah, they're just not doing it. They just don't exist. RJ, if you're still here, I hope you heard Ken say it. There are 0 pseudogenes. They're just not a thing.
It doesn't do anything. Oh, no. Those pseudogenes serve several purposes. Number one, they serve as decoys to draw poisons away from the real ones. Number two, they serve as...
What?
Do I just have to finish my drink?
Yeah, I'm going to drink for that because I don't even know what that means. Your DNA got poisoned.
I've been sober for 9 years, and Kent's making me want to drink alcohol again.
I mean, if anything were ever going to make you want to drink alcohol again, I feel like Kent would be it.
If I can watch these videos and not buy alcohol, I think I'm good.
You think you might be over the alcoholism at this point? Because
No.
No?
Well, no, my will is strong.
Oh, your will is strong? Okay.
It's stronger than it is to from how...
Monk Mayfair says, God wants us to drink gin and tonics. Man, I wish I were drinking a gin and tonic instead of drinking vodka and Coke. Caffeine-free Diet Coke, because I don't want to be up all night while drunk.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's the worst combination.
Sounds awful.
It is awful, but it's less awful than the straight-up vodka that I bought, because guess how much I paid for this handle of vodka?
Handle.
30?
No, 20.
Less.
Because that was a low guess.
Yeah, well, it's less.
Because it costs more than that normally.
Yeah. I bought it for $10.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm drinking right now, because if I don't, then I can't afford to keep doing these streams.
Backup mechanism. It's like your computer has an automatic backup. You know, if a piece of the memory gets destroyed, another one of those pseudo genes jumps right in, takes over. No, there's not.
That's
they took
not
out some
how
of the
that
pseudo
works,
genes to see
Ken.
what
No,
happened.
no, it's not. The pseudogene can't take over because it's broken.
It's
Oh my
a different
goodness.
code, Kent.
I drank for that because that is amazingly stupid. I wish, you know what? If your pseudogene could jump in as backup, then you know what humans couldn't get? Scurvy. Because the vitamin C production pseudogene would jump in and work, but it doesn't. A handle is 1.5 gallon. What is the amount?
I don't know. They call it a handle because the bottle's big enough that you need a handle, and so there's a glass handle on it. That's just why we call them handles.
I'm gonna look it up.
But it's been a long time since I used to think about that.
Handle
59, yeah, 1.75 liters, 59.2 fluid ounces.
There you go. It's almost 2 liters, basically. It's 1 3/4 liters. So there you go. Yeah, it is actually an American unit. So okay, here's some history, right? So a handle was selected. It's currently been standardized to 1.75 liters, but the actual original origin of this was that one of the early attempts to get drinking somewhat regulated in the United States was to say that you couldn't serve alcohol in amounts that was more than a drink, right? Okay, well, what's a drink? Well, they had to come up with some standard, so they said, well, about, you know, they gave a number. It was like basically about a gallon or so of beer would count as a serving of beer, because you could drink that much with a meal. Okay. Well, then what people started doing was they started just selling liquor in parts of a, you know, in amounts that were just slightly less than that, because it was defined by volume. Well, there you go. Now we have a handle. And then people started selling fifths when they lowered the amount to be, well, you know, you can't serve more than a fifth of that. Okay, well, now we have liquor sold in fifths. And you could actually sell a handle, you just had to have a special liquor license for it. So pretty much everything about American drinking habits are a result of various attempts to prohibit people from getting drunk and people getting around that prohibition. Because
Thanks,
if there's
government.
Right. If there's one thing Americans like to do, it's get drunk. In fact, if you history major here, look at receipts for alcohol purchases for state dinners in the United States in like the late 18th and early 19th century. And you will find that the average diner at an American state dinner was drinking around 3 or 4 bottles of wine and nearly a pint of whiskey. Like, it was crazy. But anyway, a little bit more Kent before we have to go. Oh, come on.
Come on, Kent.
There
They
we
said,
go.
well, the mouse doesn't need these things. Let's take them out. And there's how they turned out.
Is that how?
They were deformed terribly. No such thing as
Okay,
a pseudo
Ken.
gene.
Oh, hold
The
on.
pseudo-
Oh, there we go.
Kent, here's the thing about the gene code, right? Just because the pseudogenes don't really do much, they still are required for replication. So you can't just remove them and expect the mouse to even live at all. Like, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like, they need all of their gene code for the DNA to reproduce, to replicate.
Oh, I want to say one thing. Marcus Dresden says vodka with Diet Coke. Yeah, look, I'm not drinking this because it tastes great. It doesn't. It's terrible. If I had millions of dollars flowing in, I would drink, I don't know, fermented caviar or some crap like that. I don't. If you guys want me to drink better, I don't know, shove money at me. Or don't, because I'm fine with drinking absolute crap for now. And hey, man, Hot Brit M8 is here. Welcome
sweetie.
to the stream. Also, why are you up so late? Yeah. Thanks for the history at Dapper Dino. Now I have a migraine, says Robert Adson. Sorry about that. But here's the thing, right? Okay. Okay, let's just take his word about this chart, right? Where we have deformed mice show the vital role of a bit of, quote, junk DNA. Here's the thing. That's one of the reasons that scientists can tell whether or not a particular bit of DNA actually is important for an organism's function. They do what's called a knockout trial. They knock out a particular part of the DNA. They just take it out. How does the animal develop? And the fact is that you can take out a large amount of a mouse's genome, and it turns out just fine, and it can still even reproduce with other mice. But when it doesn't, then what you found out is that bit of DNA wasn't junk. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you find out what you thought was junk wasn't junk. Sometimes you find out it was.
Now, does that reduce the number of chromosomes in that mouse?
Not unless you take out a whole chromosome, which as far as I know is fatal every time. Except when you take out a Y chromosome, so you have an XO, that'll work. It won't be viable reproductively, but it will be viable in terms of being alive.
Okay.
Actually, one of my audience members has a chromosomal abnormality in having two X chromosomes and a Y chromosome. Yep.
Gene may function as a decoy to lure away destructive enzymes. Discover magazine of '03. We could spend all day on DNA sequencing, but, you know, it could be. We have similar...
But that wouldn't cause the deformities you're talking about, Kent. Even if we just assume that everything about that's true, that pseudogenes decoy destructive enzymes, so they lower the chance of the destructive enzymes destroying important genes, knocking them out wouldn't result in the deformities. At least not automatically.
DNA to other animals because we have the same designer. You know, similar bridges would have similar blueprints, wouldn't they? Similar cars would have similar instructions on how to build them, how to make them. Man has a pretty good understanding of how cars work.
Atheist Jr. says Dapper Dino is getting increasingly belligerent. I feel like this might be your first Ken with Bent, because that's kind of the point.
My daddy started us boys off working on cars when we were, 7 years old. I've had 128 cars, I believe. I've rebuilt the motor.
He has said this before, and that is just an absurdly high number of cars.
That's more than Jay Leno has.
Like, how have you gone through 128 cars? You know how many cars I've owned, Bent?
No, I don't.
One.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've had 7 cars, I think.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just guess that you're at about half the age that Kent is here. You're probably actually less than that, or more than that. Like, you're probably closer to like 3/5.
I am so old.
But let's just say you're half.
Okay.
So you had how many? 8?
7, I think.
7? Okay, so 14 might be reasonable. So basically an order of magnitude off from Kent. I don't know.
Yeah.
And RJ says, remember, Kent copies snippets of stuff, usually copied from other creationist websites, and never does follow-up fact-checking. That is 100% correct. That is how Kent operates.
The transmissions, the wobulator shafts, the differentials, the high-speed Canootin valves, and the muffler bearings. I have a pretty good understanding of how cars work.
I feel like there's no such thing as a high-speed Canootin valve, but I don't know enough about cars to say that for sure.
But understanding the operation of a car does not explain the origin of the car.
Yup, you are correct, so I'll drink to that. Good job, Kent. You got one.
Big difference. See? Let's suppose your son turns 16. All of my kids did a few years ago.
I don't have any sons, so I don't want to suppose it, but okay, I'll just imagine.
Your son comes up and says, "Hey, Dad, I got my license." Let me see that thing, son. Let me see your license. Come
Oh,
on.
drink for Godzilla.
Wow, son, that's a lousy picture. It is a good likeness, though.
That's
He
right.
says, "Hey,
Kent
Dad,
hates his
can I
kids.
drive the car?"
It's true, he does.
Because he's a
Son,
terrible, terrible person.
Yup.
This day was coming.
Oh, he did say muffler bearings, too. I forgot that, Clifford Reynolds. Thanks. You know what? I'm sure that was actually just a joke.
Yeah, but still.
It's, you know what? I'll give it to you, Kent. Muffler bearings is kind of amusing.
The car is a very complicated machine. Did you know there are 3,000 bolts required to hold a car together? And
I feel like that's not a number that varies, but okay.
one nut can scatter it all over the highway?
Yeah?
We don't think you're ready for the whole car, son. We're going to let you slowly evolve into the car. This year we're going to give you 10%. Next year maybe just a little more.
Well,
Hey, what good is 10% of a car?
I don't know. Ever driven a go-kart, Kent? Pretty cool. I've driven a go-kart. You ever driven a go-kart?
Yes.
I'd say that's about 10% of a car.
I don't know what the percentage of it is.
Just agree with me, man.
It's everything you said is perfectly true.
That's what you put in a junkyard. How many things have to be
maybe.
right on a
I
car
put
to make
Kent
it...
in the junkyard.
Yeah, in fact, actually, we're going to go ahead and say that at this point, we're going to stop doing Kent response stuff, and I'm going to do things like announcements and other crap like that. So, by the way, this Saturday, and I have to double check the time, but you know what? I'll tell you what. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, at dinosaur_dapper, do it, because this will be where I make this announcement in a more official way. However, Erica is going to be having a debate, I think with Kent Hope, or it's with someone. I don't remember who it is. But it's going to be on Standing for Truth's channel. And I have been asked by Standing for Truth to help moderate, so that it'll be me and Standing for Truth moderating the debate. So go check Standing for Truth's channel. Just search Standing for Truth. I'm sure you'll find it. And like I said, I'll be tweeting about it later on when I have a little bit more confirmation, when I can actually get the watch link, all that stuff. So I will be helping to moderate for a debate for Erica from Gutsick Gibbon on this Saturday. So what is that? The
14.
14th? Okay. So there you go. Robert Atzit, you don't do the Twitters? Well, that's probably for the best. Twitter sucks. However, just check out Standing for Truth's channel and I guess subscribe to him at least for a bit. I mean, go ahead and subscribe to him. He has some good debates on there. I strongly disagree with almost everything he says, but sometimes there are good debates. So assuming everything goes according to plan, I will be helping to co-moderate with Standing for Truth for Erica debating, and I really wish I could remember this, but I just can't. I don't think it's Kent Hovind, because I feel like she would have told me about that debate if it had been Kent Hovind. Let's see. Also, if you haven't already heard about the Speculative Evolution Project, I am starting a Speculative Evolution project. I will probably be putting out the announcement video about that, as well as displaying, I believe, 4 organisms that have already been created, 2 of which were created by Bent Hovind. No relation. Yeah. Right. So I am still soliciting submissions for that. We're in what I'm going to call phase 1, which is where we're seeding the very initial organisms. So nothing that you submit at this phase has to have an ancestor on the planet. We'll just assume it had some kind of ancestry, and I'll come up with a cladogram for the things that are submitted, mostly arbitrarily, but that's not important. Phase 2 is going to be essentially the Cambrian explosion on this planet. It'll start with the advent of macro predators. So now there are things that are hunting the large organisms on this planet. So things that you submit now, they can't be hunting other macroscopic organisms, but they can be hunting like microscopic worms or plankton, or they can be chemosynthetic or photosynthetic. So there's that. They can have eyes. They can't be super fancy eyes, but they can have light-sensitive patches or simple like opsin clusters or things like that. That's fine. Erica from Gutsick Gibbon again has already made like 4 different really cool evolutionary offshoots of organisms that have already been put in there. So they're going to be put into phase 2, but because we talk a lot, she gets to put in phase 2 organisms before you guys do. So deal with it.
Deal with it.
So that's happening. Let's see. This Thursday, I am premiering the next Noah Zookeeper video. I already premiered one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I can't even remember.
Yes, you did.
I just finished rendering the 6th one.
Yikes.
So I'm a little ahead.
Yeah.
So that'll be this Thursday. Saturday, again, will be the premiere of the video about the Speculative Evolution project. Then it will be the next Kent with Bent, which, by the way, Bent, remind me several times over the course of the next few days what it's supposed to be called.
I will.
Because otherwise, I guarantee you I will forget.
Don't forget.
I'll try not to. But you should still remind me. Let's see. Then that next Thursday will be another episode of Noah's Zookeeper. It'll be the one where I wear a tutu.
Nice.
So a week from Thursday, I will be in a tutu on video. It'll be fully animated. There will be a tutu. I will be wearing it because you guys got me the tutu money. Tutu money right there. Let's see. Then that next Saturday after that, I am not positive. What will probably come out is a video where I take you on a tour of a T-Rex skeleton in 3D. We zoom around and move around the skeleton, and I talk about the various bones and what they are and all that stuff, which will be sort of a stand-in for, like, here's your basic like skeletal anatomy for a tetrapod. So if you pay attention to this, you'll be able to identify most bones in any tetrapod skeleton with at least the basics of what is this thing. However, if I get a Leaving Young Earth Creationist interviewee, then that may happen on that day instead. In which case, that'll probably get pushed to the Saturday after.
Okay.
So, yep. That is as far ahead as I am going to look on the channel for certain. Like I said, I still have I currently have 6 videos that are uploaded to YouTube but haven't premiered. So there is a lot of stuff to come. So that's good stuff. Bent, what do you got?
I've got also on Saturday a Copper Magma show in Tucson. So all you people who are in Tucson, come on down to the show.
Well, there you go. Well, where is it?
It's at The Rock. Information can be found on the website that I just linked.
It's at Dwayne Johnson?
It is at Dwayne Johnson. No, I think it's a 5:40 to 6:10 via a 30-minute slot. There's like 10 bands playing.
Okay.
So we're one of the first bands to play, which gets us in and gets us out. But that's pretty much all I've got.
Okay. So in case there's anything, let's see what else we have. All right. So if you want to help support the show beyond super chatting, there is a Patreon linked in the description. The first tier is only $1. It gets you access to the patron-only Discord server, gets you access to early videos. So if you want either of those things, $1 a month, $12 a year. That's all it takes. There are also higher tiers that give you more things. When I vote, how many votes you get actually does depend on your tier. So as you move up in the tiers, you get more votes, you get more say in what happens next, because I think it's fair that if you're willing to give me more money, you should have a higher amount of say in what happens next. The next Patreon vote will actually probably be coming in the next few days, and it will be what my next long-form series is going to be on. And AIG is not going to be one of the options because they won twice in a row. And we'll drink for Mothra. Let's see. If Patreon isn't something you want to do, there's also a merch store where you can get awesome merch like that, the mug or the t-shirt. Several people have bought fleece blankets. There are pillows.
I did too. I don't have mine yet, though.
Right. There are pillows. You can get a pillow. You can get a wall canvas. You can get a tank top. All sorts of stuff. So if you ever want anything with my mug on it, like a mug with my mug, check out the Teespring store in the description. There's also an Amazon wish list. And also, you know what? I'm just going to say, anyone who wants to be Steam friends, send me a DM on Twitter or an email or something. Because you know what? I want people to be able to, have fun playing games with me. Some of my fans have already played games with me. Mr. Sirius has already done that. Helios575, we've played some games together. If I'm up for games, I'm probably up for games with the people who watch my stuff. So if you want to play games, go ahead and do that. My next game purchase is probably going to be Doom Eternal. which comes out in 10 days. So if you want to play Doom Eternal with me, or you want to invade my campaign and just try to harass me as a demon, send me your Steam name, and I will add you, and then you can do that. But that's pretty much all I've got. I've already gone a little bit over. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the super chatters. And it's been fun and frustrating, like every Kent with Bent. But I'm the Dapper Dinosaur. I'll see you later.
See you next Tuesday.